Buckle up that helmet strap and clip in. It's time for the Louisville Cycling Podcast, the podcast that celebrates the people, rides, and events that make Louisville and the surrounding area a great place to ride a bike. This past weekend, I jumped in the Wayback Machine and took in an afternoon of roller racing. That's right, John Mahorney and the Ridenfaden crew broke out the rollers and the timer and set up an afternoon of indoor racing, along with a little beer and even a taco truck. Hey, it sure beats them all. I decided to go down to Falls City Brewery, bring along a recorder, and talk to some folks attending and participating in the races. It turned out to be a bit of a racer reunion, and I was happy to chat with and catch up with some of the coolest and fastest folks in the area. Before we get started with this episode, though, I have to apologize for some of the audio quality. Recording in a live environment is tough, and I just moved houses and couldn't find the right recorder attachment to block out some of the noise and the heavy breaths that some of the tired riders could breathe out into the microphone. So give me a pass on this one, and I'll make sure we're back up to snuff in the next episode. All right, let's get to it. I started with a chat with John Mahorney and then bopped around and caught anyone who looked like they wouldn't mind sharing a few thoughts with me. Oh, and the next time they break out the rollers, make it a point to stop by. It was a blast. John, describe for me what's going on here today.
Well, we have gotten this 40-year-old roller race machine out that Bob Peters and Gil Morris came together on to have built for winter cycle races, and that's what we're doing. We're here at Falls City Brewing Company in Louisville, and we're having a roller race, a classic roller race where both wheels are flying. And right now we're seating, and Curtis Tolson just came in with a time of 22. I think it was 22.04. Let me see, 22.56. Best time of the day so far. So we're just going to keep seating people until we get what we think is the amount of racers here today. And we're going to have a roller race, and it's $5 a head. So winner takes all on this roller race today.
And not only are there roller racing, but there's also beer and tacos, right?
Yes, we're at Falls City Brewing Company, a classic beer company here in the Louisville area. And they have this brewing pub here in Phoenix Hill neighborhood, which some call New Lou. And yes, they have a great variety of beer menu. And we have a taco truck who's parking in the parking lot right now. And it's a Hernandez Taqueria, and they have some great tacos. They have all sorts of other really good Mexican food, beans and rice, whatever you're into. But really good. It's going to be a really good day here today with beer, food, and bike racing indoors.
Now, what else coming up exciting this year for Ridenfaden?
Well, a lot of great things. Of course, Dano's Seasoning is one of our biggest sponsors, and we'll probably be looking forward to having a tour to Dano's again like we did last year, sometime probably late April. And, of course, there's we have 22 sponsors this year, and we always do events and show up at a lot of our sponsors' place, especially the ones that have beer and food.
Absolutely. And if somebody wants to learn more about Ridenfaden or some of the events you put on, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, we just developed our new website, and you can look us up at ridenfaden.com. It's RIDENFADEN.com. Or you can find us on Facebook for Crazy Ridenfaden Cyclists. We are also on Instagram. You can find us Team Ridenfaden on Instagram as well. And it's free to join our sponsor-supported bicycle group. Sponsors pay for all the club functions, and we look forward. All the money we raise is going to go to keeping on putting great events like this roller race today.
All right, John. Thank you a lot. Go seat some people.
Thanks, Barry.
I'm talking to Curtis Tolson. Curtis, you just did your qualifying. It was a 22:56. I think you said earlier your goal was to get a 1 minute for 1,500 meters. That doesn't add up.
No, I never said. I said back in the day that was my goal when I was like 25.
So, for listeners who aren't here, talk about the experience of doing a roller race.
I think it's fun. It's, wouldn't be how I would spend a Saturday if it was 75 and sunny, but it's kind of cool to see a bunch of old people and watch people learn how to ride rollers. Some of these guys, it's their first time on them.
So, is it hard?
I wouldn't say it's hard. I think it's more intimidating because you're keeping your own balance. But, it's not magic. It's just a matter of understanding, if I do X, the bike reacts Y, and you just get used to that, and then you're fine.
So what kind of effort is involved in terms of trying to get a good time?
You want to spin your legs as fast as possible. There's not much resistance, although these rollers might be because it's got 60 years on me now, but they feel like they got a little more resistance than they did back then.
Well, I think the rollers have 60 years on them, too.
That's true, and probably a lot of dust. I think Nathan Roberson lubed them up pretty good. So, it's good. They felt pretty even. I rode both sets. I couldn't tell a big difference in them at all. So, I think it's going to be fun. It's mostly what it's about.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Curtis.
Yep.
Hey, I'm talking to Carson Torpy, an alumni of the Louisville Cycling Podcast. Carson, you brought some bikes with you today. Tell me what we got here.
Well, we got a 1911 race cycle. It's real famous for the big chain ring, a 72-tooth chain ring. It just looks real big, but with the gearing in the back, it's a normal gearing. The idea was to have less friction with it. Also has a 3/16-inch chain instead of the old skip-tooth chain. Same thing to make less friction. One of the big features is the bottom bracket bearings are on the outside of the bottom bracket, like a lot of newer bicycles. So that was, again, a feature 1911. So it's really something there. Has adjustable handlebars, so you could put it in a racing position or just tooling around the neighborhood position as well.
Now, you also have a penny farthing over there, right?
Yeah, this is called an Eagle. Because penny farthings were so dangerous, doing headers, flipping over the handlebars, there were two models that had the big wheel in the back, little wheel in the front. So this one's got the little wheel in the front, and you pedal it just like a normal penny farthing does. It makes it difficult to get on the bike because you have to run alongside of it. When the pedal gets at its bottom position, you have to hop onto that pedal, and it'll raise you up to the saddle. So you have to let the bike do the work, and your legs will help you. You can't yank back on the handlebar.
Now, is that bike still in rideable condition?
Yeah, this one's all rideable. It's been restored. We left as much of it as we could in original condition and then had all the things that needed replacing replaced.
Now, could you put that bike on a set of rollers?
I guess you could try.
You'd have to be a brave man.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
So first of all, tell me your name.
Jill Best.
Now, Jill, you just did your qualifying round. Is this your first roller race?
This is my first roller day, period. First time on rollers today.
So tell me about the experience here.
Well, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It takes a lot more energy than I thought, but it's and lots of adrenaline.
You seems like you're breathing pretty hard.
I am breathing hard.
So what do you hope to get in terms of time on this?
Well, I have no idea. I just want to finish. At least get maybe a couple rounds in. I think I got 39.
39:22?
Better each time.
Yeah. Cool. So tell me a little bit about your experience on the bike and with Ridenfaden.
My experience on the bike. I started mountain biking, then got into triathlon, and then I joined Ridenfaden. And the thing that I love about Ridenfaden, it's like one big family, and they know how to have a good time. And so through all my hard training, sometimes I could get burned out. And so Ridenfaden always brings me back to my roots of just having fun and enjoying the time while you're doing it.
So how long have you been riding a bike?
I've been riding my mountain bike for 20 years. I've been riding road bike for 5. Used to only ride around Long Run Park in many, many circles because I was afraid of cars. But then I started branching out and meeting people and feeling more safe to get out on the road. And so I've been doing this for about 5 years.
Now, do you have any cycling goals or anything that you're working toward this year?
I have 2 half Ironmans. I'm going to be doing Chattanooga in May, and then in October, I'm going to be doing Memphis.
Well, thank you a lot, and good luck today.
Thank you, sir.
Well, right now I'm talking to Chester, and Chester, are you rolling racing today?
No, I rode my bike here, and I'll be rolling back. But I'm on a 3-speed, and I'm sure, as everybody's heard, my bike is my wheelbase is too big for this event, so I'm overqualified as usual.
Is that real, or is that a metaphor for something?
No. It's significant. It's a 26-inch 57 Schwinn Corvette, and it's too big.
Yeah. So describe for me, if you will, what you see going on here today.
I think a lot of people are procrastinating the obvious, that they're all going to try to pedal their bikes really, really fast, and then there's going to be one person that may have a little more practice. But right now there's a lot of cajoling and pep talk for the inevitable.
And beer and tacos.
I've definitely had my beers, and I should probably have tacos. But I feel lucky, Barry.
Yeah. Well, so where are you going to apply that luck?
I'm hoping that I make it home and I don't get in trouble. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a cast of luck spell like Harry Potter would, and hopefully I'll be Voldemort.
Well, I know you, and if you make it home with no trouble, I'll be happy for you.
I'm flattered, kind sir. I like your optimism. Once again, you should make better friends. Don't count on me.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Barry. Have a well.
Well, here's a late breaking edition. Chester has 2 bike jokes for us. So Chester, hit us up, man.
What do a 16-inch pizza and a professional bike racer have in common?
I don't know.
Neither one can feed a family of 4.
All right, pretty good. What about your second one?
Why do bicycles not stand up on their own?
I don't know.
They're too tired.
Ah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm talking to Tom Burridge, who is actually an alumni of the Louisville Cycling Podcast. And so, Tom, what you got going on exciting this year?
Oh, just trying to mend up after breaking my femur 2 years ago, and that's starting to come back. And I'm going to head down to Austin, Texas for a month in February and try to get some warm weather training in. And this year, Nationals is in Augusta, Georgia. I love that course. It's going to be in either August or September, so I'm just going to do a slow build-up and do the TT crit and road race. And they're actually going to have a gravel Nationals this year. I think it's going to be in Arkansas, and I'll give that a shot after I won the 65-plus at Gravel Worlds in Nebraska this last year. And so, it suits me. So we'll see how it goes.
So what are you doing right now to get ready for the season?
Just a lot of endurance. I did 2 hours on the trainer this morning, just all Zone 2 stuff, and I'll do some FTP builders. But I think I suffered last year because I didn't get enough distance in. So my focus this year is I'm going to try to peak late. So I'm just going to go out and just try to get as many miles as I can over the next 3 months or so.
That reminds me of the classic quote when they asked Eddie Merckx what the secret to cycling was, and he said, "Ride lots."
That's what I'm going to try to do. So just get out and enjoy it and take it from there. So
I got to ask you, what do you do to stay on the bike for 2 hours on the trainer?
Today I was watching a very bad Liverpool team lose to Brighton, and then I was catching the UK pregame show. I'll watch movies. Occasionally I'll watch the occasional YouTube, Paris-Roubaix from a few years ago, if I don't know who the hell won. I'm not a big Swift guy. I'll have my workouts. I'll do my interval workouts, and I'll either put races or I'll watch movies. And it goes by pretty quickly, actually.
So I noticed you don't have a bicycle with you today. You're not into the roller racing?
I've never tried rollers. It looks like a recipe for disaster with me. I've fallen enough. So I'll just drink beer and watch these guys ride.
Well, I'm with you on the beer drinking and the watching, and I appreciate you chatting with me.
My pleasure, pal.
Hey, we got Drew Dillman in the house. Hey, Drew, where's your bike, man?
Oh, it's off season. Didn't bring it. Just here watching.
It's not too much of an off season. You just got back from a pretty extensive trip in Belgium.
Yep. That's why it's the off season. I'm smoked from that season. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your experience over there doing some cyclocross.
It was cool. You got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because I didn't finish a single race. I got lapped in every one, but I'm also racing like Van Aert and Vanderpool. So the ceiling is pretty high, but it was fun. It was definitely an experience. I had been as a junior and as a U23, but going as a full-on elite was just a lot harder. I was hoping that I'd be closer to finishing on the lead lap, but it was still fun. The courses there, the courses alone are like harder than any of the courses here in the U.S. I think the main reason is probably because the courses there are designed for the Van Aerts and the Vanderpools, and here we've got to also design courses that are for elites and for juniors at the same time. So you have to be a little bit more careful with course design, but it was but that means that the courses over there are way more fun for elite riders because the skill, it actually pushes your skills to the max.
So now that you're off that pretty difficult block, what do you have in store for the rest of this coming up in this season?
Oh, I'm stoked for road season. I think I've never been this excited for a race season to get started and to get training for a road season. Last year was kind of like my first serious year on the Texas Roadhouse cycling team, and we had like a really good year, like way better than I could have imagined. And so going into this year, I'm just like more and more excited about racing on the road. And the whole team dynamic of road racing is cool because like even if we have a real crummy race, we're still like at a race hanging out with some of our closest friends, which is really cool.
Now, do you have any big goals on your schedule that you're really working toward this year?
Oh, yeah, big goals. Last year I was able to crack a top 20 at Pro Nats, and it was my first time ever doing Pro Nats, the road race. So now that I have a little bit more experience under my belt and know what the course is like down in Knoxville, I think hopefully trying to shoot for a top 10 at that race, which is like legit because like it's all like the American World Tour riders, so it's pretty legit. Tulsa Tough's always a big crit for me. I always like that. I've always wanted to podium at the Crybaby Hill race. And then I'm talking a lot about road, and that's starting to be more and more the focus, but then they just announced that Cross Nats are back here in Louisville, so it's hard for me to not focus on that as well. So I think trying to crack the podium at Cross Nats here in Louisville would be good too.
Now tell me a little bit about your work with Ignition Coaching.
Yes, Ignition Coach Co. is a company that me and Dylan Johnson started up. It's a lot of fun. We've got about 15 coaches that have all kind of joined it. We kind of call it a network of coaches. Our slogan is developing coaches, connecting athletes, because all of our coaches are high-level racers themselves. And so one of the like fundamental beliefs that we have is that coaching and racing go hand in hand. Like when your coach is also a racer, it makes them a better coach. I don't think it detracts, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. We pour a lot into like educating all the coaches. So we have like bi-weekly phone calls where we get into some pretty like deep discussions on coaching related topics, and so it's pretty cool. We've created like this really neat atmosphere where like everybody's really stoked and wants to learn more, and I think we're almost at like 150 athletes total. We've got a training camp coming up in March. We're going to start a club team this year, so if people want to join a club team, that's an option. So, yeah, I mean, it's just growing and bustling, and it's a lot of fun, yeah.
So you have a lot of – I know for me personally, I've enjoyed watching your videos from the races over in Europe. So tell me a little bit about where people can find you and how they can get in contact.
Yeah, the YouTube channel has been a lot of fun. I enjoy making those videos, and it's good for me. Like, even if I got 0 views, it's good for me because I get to go back and learn from my mistakes from the races. And the race footage videos, I'm like, there's things that I'm seeing that I didn't see during the race because I'm so focused on the line, but then I can see more things from the GoPro video. So that's pretty cool. It's been fun making those. It's been cool to see how many people have like been following along and watching those. So yeah, I plan to do more and more videos like that in every race that I do. So yeah, you can find me on YouTube if you just search Drew Dillman. I think I should pop up, and then on Instagram, Dizzle Dillman, and then obviously the Ignition Coach Co. website.
All right, man. Well, have a great year, and I appreciate you chatting with me.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So tell me your name.
Zach.
Zach, so was this your first roller race?
It was, yeah.
So tell me about the experience.
It is definitely a lot harder with a bunch of people and not in my basement by myself.
So are you a big roller rider?
Not at all. My neighbors were throwing them away, so I pulled them from their trash can and started riding them.
So tell me about the effort you just had to put out.
A lot harder to stay upright. Feeling a lot in the core, better more than on the road. Legs are a little sore, but I'll be back for next time.
So overall, would you recommend somebody grabbing some rollers and coming out to race?
Oh, I love it. It's other than being on the road, it's the best training you can get, I think.
So how long have you been riding a bicycle?
I've been riding a bicycle since I was about 5, but rode bicycles for about 3 years now.
So do you have any big goals coming up this year?
Just ride more, ride as much as I can. That's about it.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm here with Brad Swope, and Brad, I noticed you don't have a bike with you.
That's true. I rarely ride a bike anymore outside, but the only riding I've been doing since I got hit last is indoors on the rollers, maybe an hour or two a week.
So you're not a fan of getting out and doing gravel rides or mountain bike rides or those things that people tend to think are more safe?
They are more safe, but to do that, you have to get in your car. And I've always avoided getting in my car to go ride my bike unless I was going to a race.
And so I guess racing is out of the question now.
Racing is totally out of the question. I have a torn hamstring.
So with all this newfound time you have from not being out hours on the bike, what exciting is going on?
Nothing.
Oh, well, I notice you're still here, so you're not out of the cycling community.
No, this is an exciting group. Just look around. Look at all the bald heads and white hair, and there's some bellies flowing over their belts. These are my people.
You know, that hit a little close to home.
Well, you match up with several of that criteria, but we're all still cooking, and I'm glad we're all here.
So you've had a lot of experience on rollers, a lot of experience in racing, been an icon of the Louisville cycling community. Tell me what's great about this kind of thing.
Icon. I've been called a relic, but never an icon. But this community, we all have the same thing in common. We love the outdoors. We love working up a sweat. And we're here because it's winter and it's too damn cold outside to ride.
There is sun.
There is sun, but the younger, you notice there's not any young cyclists here because they're out riding their bikes.
I did just notice that one of our young gun cyclocross racers, just areas over there.
Well, Drew Dillman.
No, not Drew.
Yeah. Is that George Fraser?
That's George Fraser, yeah. And I think he's going to give Curtis a run for the money.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. Old bull, new bull.
Yeah. And I'm talking to Brad Swope. No bull. All right, Brad, thank you. Hey, I'm talking with George Fraser. George, I think everybody looked at you coming in and saying, man, can this dude beat Curtis?
I don't know. I'll do my best, but he is the pro of the scene right now. So
well, we're looking at to go out and find you a track bike to give you a little more competitive edge.
I used to have a track bike, but I just haven't raced track in so long that it would be more of a benefit to sell it and to try to get on to what I'm best at. So I'm going to try to do a few track races this year and continue to do roller races, but it just depends on what my team wants me to do and everything else.
So you've had a great cyclocross season and you've been out there riding. What's looking forward to you in
2023?
I'm happy to be on Bear National again for the second year now. I'm happy to be with all my teammates, so I'm going to try to give a good go at mountain bike season because this year I'll be top of the age group. For cyclocross, I'll be bottom, but it's always when you're at the bottom of the age group, there's never a worse situation. You can always go up from there. So.
Yeah. Well, and with the talent you're bringing to the table, you should have a pretty good year.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for letting me be on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
All right, tell me your name.
Patrick Spaulding.
Patrick, you just raced a world champion, so tell me, how'd it feel?
Well, it feels good to be able to tell that story afterwards, I'll tell you what. You might have to stretch that one out a little bit about the time I went head-to-head with the world champion, but I had a great time.
Yeah. And so how'd it turn out?
Well, I think we all know how that one turned out, but, it's what makes for a good story.
Now, are you a prolific rollers rider?
I learned rollers here a couple hours ago. I think I've got about a total of 10 minutes in them.
So tell me about your experience on riding a bike.
Ride a bike frequently, 6,000 miles a year on my road bike, e-bike, mountain bike, add that to the list, but a lot of time outdoors, but first time racing indoors on rollers.
Now, what are your plans for 2023? Anything exciting coming up on the horizon?
Honestly, I'm going to take this year to kind of slow down and spend more time on the bike with good people and great rides. Try and focus a little bit less on stressing about being fast or trying to ride with the fastest people. But I nevertheless hope that the long-run circuit race continues this year with Abner trying to give that off to someone else. I think that's one of the best circuit races around Louisville and would really look forward to participating in that event again if it becomes available.
So tell me about your experience in this whole event today.
This whole event today, I honestly came out here to practice and drink beer, and I got suckered into racing. So I was happy to win one and be able to tell the story about racing against a world champion.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
So what's your name?
I'm Reggie.
Reggie? So tell me about what just happened.
We did a little kilo roller race, and Curtis won by a pretty healthy margin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So are you a big roller rider?
Not as much as I used to. Ridden rollers a little bit when I used to train more seriously, but this is like riding a bicycle. You never forget.
So tell me a little about your riding experience and what some of your goals are for the year.
My goal is to just ride as much as possible and enjoy it. I used to race and I used to work in the industry, but right now I'm just focused on enjoying it and coming out and having fun. Yep.
Well, now, I need someone who can really describe for the audience exactly what is a roller race.
So a roller is a beautiful contraption of 3 drums that your bike just bounces on top of. So unlike a trainer where your bike has got the luxury of being clamped in, you have to maintain your balance on the rollers at all times. And there's not a whole lot of resistance in the drums, so you're pedaling pretty freely, but that forces you to be real smooth. And you can see really accomplished riders like Curtis, there's no jerking, their pedals are perfectly circular, and it's real beautiful. So anybody who wants to get better at riding bikes in general has a lot to gain from getting real smooth and pedaling in a perfect circle on a set of rollers. So there's 2 of these rollers set up side by side with a table to prop yourself up while you get started on. And there's a flexible shaft, kind of like a speedometer or a tachometer on an older car. And that's driving 2 needles on a big old vintage clock, if you would, where 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock is 500 meters. So we just did a kilo, 1,000-meter race, so two orbits around that clock. And I think Curtis got me about 200 meters there.
Yeah, this is the same clock we used to use like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mechanical device. Sometimes when riders like Curtis really put down the power, though, you do smell the burning wood and burning rubber, but that's part of the fun, I think.
All right, well, hey, good luck for the rest of the day, and thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, there you have it. That's roller racing. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's a little different than the typical episode, but I think you can see that roller racing can be a lot of fun. And I really encourage you, if they do it again, and I think they will, Either grab a bike and go down and join the fun, or just go hang out, talk to some great cyclists, and watch the fun that happens during these roller racing events. Well, that's it for this episode, but we'll be back soon. You've been listening to the Louisville Cycling Podcast. If you aren't a follower of the show yet, well, what are you waiting for? Head on over to your favorite podcast app and hit that follow button now. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a single episode. And if you'd like to learn more about me and other podcasts I produce, you can check it out at my website, barrygary.com. And while you're there, leave me some feedback or suggestions for the show. Well, that's it for this episode, but I'll be back soon with another episode of the Louisville Cycling Podcast. For now, though, I think it's time to get out and go for a ride.